Hello to my fellow history lovers and people that think if I learned something new today, it will be a good day. I'm author Eileen Schnabel, author of the Kep Westgard Time Travel to the American Revolution series, and this is part 2 of the Silas Deane saga. So, where we left off, he had been sent to France secretly under the guise of being a merchant, and what his job is to get as many supplies as he can for the Continental Army, which is desperate for supplies, get support from the French, and also recruit military leaders. And arguably, he's very successful at both. So he managed to make some kind of under the table deals, and Congress has given him almost no money. So he makes personal guarantees, assuming Congress is going to pay him back. He also does a good job recruiting, and he's credited with, if you remember, Thaddeus Kosciuszko, who's this brilliant Polish military leader who helped design not only the defenses at Saratoga, but also West Point and the Marquis de Lafayette. So he's a great recruiter, he's making deals, and then things go sour when there's a lot of political infighting. And I mentioned before in this picture, the two, this is Benjamin Franklin, who's standing with the paper, and then to his right is Silas Deane, and then to Silas Deane's right, with his arms crossed, is Arthur Lee. Those last two get into a fight, political tensions, and Arthur Lee accuses Silas Deane that all those deals you made were really just to line your own pockets. So Arthur Lee has a lot of powerful friends in Congress, enough so that he convinces them this guy is, kind of a skunk. They have him come all the way back to Congress to defend himself. But the problem is, a lot of those deals were, in fact, under the table before there's an official treaty. And so basically, France is helping us and violating their own neutrality before they officially ally with us. And they don't want that to become public. So they refuse to give all the financial documentation to show these financial dealings. And as a result, he really has no proof, and Congress basically doesn't pay him back and pretty much fires him. So that's where we left off on part 1. And also a side note was that his personal secretary, it turns out later, was an actual double agent. So he had a lot of problems. So now he's pretty much financially destitute. He's going back to Europe, and there he will write some letters that sound like maybe we should consider some sort of reconciliation with Britain. Those are published in the newspaper, which further destroys his reputation. And on top of that, he has some correspondence with Benedict Arnold, because both of them, of course, are very bitter at Congress, and even more so destroys his reputation, so to speak. So he is extremely poor at this point, and he gets on a ship and he's going to sail back to the United States. This is 17, I wrote that down somewhere. This is after the Revolutionary War. I apologize, I don't remember the exact date. And then he dies under mysterious circumstances. And some historians think it even could go back to, if you remember, he had the private secretary who was a double agent, might have been involved. But anyway, he dies under mysterious circumstances. But that actually is not the end of his story. It keeps going. And this last part to me is one of the most interesting. So basically, Silas Deane dies broke and bitter, but that is not the end of his story. His family tries to clear his name for years, and what was really interesting is it is his granddaughter, and her name was Philora Deane Alden, who petitions Congress in 1841. And finally, Congress acknowledges that Silas Deane had basically sacrificed his fortune for the American Revolution, for the cause of the American Revolution. And he's finally essentially exonerated, and they pay restitution. And they pay $37,000 to the family in 1841. And when I tried to figure out what the correlation would be, it's a little over $1 million, like $1.2 million in today's dollars. So that's how the story of Silas Deane ends. Thanks for sticking with me if you watched all that. I actually thought it was a fascinating story. And I will look forward to seeing you tomorrow.